Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hola.
Hola. Are we continuing in Spanish or English? English. Hi.
Well, you went in English, so that's what we have to continue with.
Well,
now.
there was
We're
a
locked
pregnant
in.
pause. Me llamo Megan. Welcome to another episode of But Am I Wrong? Starring two people who would not once ever in their lifetimes. They're short, yet profound, long, century spanning, in the blink of an eye, lifetimes, have not once ever been wrong.
Yeah. Moises sent me a video on TikTok, and it was in Spanish, and they were like, there's captions. I was like, I didn't tell them this, but I was like, I don't need captions. I can understand it perfectly fine.
It's just
Can I
making it.
speak it? No.
Yeah, that's still to me to this day. I've taken Spanish from 6th grade all the way through like senior year, and like grew up in California. So there's like a lot of there's lots of different languages, but like a ton of Spanish here. Hearing it, understanding it, I'm pretty fucking solid. Like I would feel confident making decisions based on my comprehension. My speaking, no. No, it's mostly the anxiety, though.
Yeah, like if I go slow enough, I can get it out, but then it's just why? When I can switch over and we can both just understand each other perfectly fine.
Exactly. Well, welcome to another episode. This is a podcast that we have where we will go into all these different segments. It's a fun time, but really what you need to know is we're talking shit ethically. The ethically is in parentheses. So if you don't want to ethically talk shit, you don't have to listen ethically. You know?
Good way to put it.
Like, it's the mindset. If you're in an ethical mindset, welcome. If you're in a destructive mindset, also welcome.
Wow. Okay. I like both of those. We are for the people, much like our future president. You know, a little something for everybody.
Exactly. Whether you like us or you hate us, we're still here.
Mm-hmm.
Ayo!
We're joyful warriors. That's how Dougie described Kamala Harris.
That's sweet.
A joyful warrior.
I love our first husband. We've got 3 different segments on the show. We will explain each of them before we get into them. But what you really need to know is we don't want you to just listen, to just take it in. We also want your input. We want you to vote on who you think was wrong in each of our segments. So we put up polls over on our Instagram story after the episode is out. Now that we've switched the days, I've been trying to like give it like a couple, so you have time to like listen between that and like when we record. So you can head on over there. We put them in our highlights as well. So to keep back checking, keep
checking back in.
checking back. keep checking back in and see when those are posted. And we also ask that you write in about why you voted the way you did, just like reply to the stories. And then we read the results on our See You Next Tuesday episode, which is our episodes on Tuesday.
Ooh,
so
what a concept.
Yeah. Hey, we did switch it around though. We can read those out loud and we can like have a discussion with it. And it's a good time. And also often on there, we have people who are the original writers in who will share like their thoughts and feelings about like what we had discussed on it and or for our nominations of Wrong of the Week. Sometimes there's updates. So it's a grand old time. And we have today's episode. Today's Monday. So this is the beginning of the week, which means tomorrow you can listen to next week's episode. No, tomorrow you can listen to the results from last week's episode. Melissa goes, bitch, I edit. No, you can. You can listen to the results from last week's episode of But Am I Wrong? And then on Thursday, we have a new episode of Don't Blame Me, which is our advice podcast. And then Friday, hang out with us, chit chat, catch up, gossip. By the way, speaking of gossip, do you know what I recently today learned?
What?
One of my favorite movies is rated 11% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is crazy to me because there are other movies I love, which I could have confidently told you. Sleepover is probably rated 7%. But this movie, I go, no, this is a real movie. And it's 11%. And I think it's one of those underrated rom-coms ever.
What?
It's a rom-com about one of my favorite things that I say we need to bring it back. Not writing letters.
I don't know. Just
you got me a gift related to this hobby of mine.
Treasure hunting?
Yes.
What's a rom-com?
It might be so underrated you don't even know it. Starring the Lovebirds, which I will say, I think they shot the other movie before they had fucked. And then I think they shot this movie after they fucked. Fool's Gold. Melissa, 11%.
I can't believe that.
I can't. I
enjoyed the movie, but I was a child when I saw it.
I watch it often. I would ask, I want to write Mr. Tomato Head and be like, I actually need you to revise this.
Well,
like,
you could just go look at who were the people.
Men, of course. Who else do you think?
Look at that and then come back and
send them hate mail.
Yeah.
I just want to ask them to reverse their decision because it's objectively wrong.
Okay, well, make that your goal for 2025.
You know, I do think there is more politically impactful things I could do.
You can do both. This is the thing about being multifaceted is that you can have a wide variety of interests.
As a multifaceted woman, I can care about a lot of things at once. And the absolute devastation of the underselling and underrating of Fool's Gold is one of them.
I watched a rom-com this weekend.
What rom-com? Glenn Powell.
I watched Anyone But You.
Wait. Oh, that one.
Uh-huh.
That's the only Glenn Powell movie Mats hasn't seen, and I'm waiting for the day that he goes, can we just put it on?
I mean, it was a feel-good movie. That's what I wanted. I didn't want to invest in a TV show, and I just wanted something to watch because I was very tired, but it was like 7:00. And so I was like, I need something that will just tide me over for the next couple hours and then I can go to sleep.
Yep.
And I had nothing else to do. So I took a chance. Also, I canceled my Netflix for next month because I was like, I rarely use Netflix.
Oh, that's
so
true.
why don't I just pay for it when I'm actually going to use it? But I was like, it's going to run out in a couple days. Let me just see if there's anything that I want to look at real quick. And that was at the top and I watched it. There's a lot of like slapstick moments that I wasn't prepared for, but it's a feel good movie. You know, I told you that I watched, Mother of the Bride a couple months ago or a month ago and it was not the greatest, but it's kind of the same movie, just better done. It's about two people that used to date, don't really like each other, go to a destination wedding, and then fall for each other again. They're both the same movie. But one's with older people, one's with young-isher people. Because one of them is not funny. Yeah. Which they do make fun of. They call it out.
What do they say?
About him being older. She calls him a grandpa. She talks about how he's old. Like, it's called out a few times.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
As it should be.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well.
Okay.
Shall we get into our first segment?
Let's do it.
All right. Our first segment is called But Am I Wrong? And that's when we share a hot take or a situation in our life that we question if we were wrong about. Or sometimes it's just a rant that we want to go off on. And I'm up first this week, and mine is just thoughts and feelings. I've touched on this before, but haven't talked about it directly. But I want to say that third-party voting is throwing away your vote.
Ooh, she went there. Whoa.
We live in a country that has a two-party system, unfortunately. And so it is throwing away your vote if you vote third party. First of all, none of the third party candidates are on the ballot in every state. So therefore, they can't even get the votes needed to become. And since we, have electoral college, they can't even get the votes to become president. A lot of them aren't even on the ballot in battleground states, which you need to become president. And most of them are only pro whatever they need that year to get them in office. I'm looking directly at you, Jill Stein. If these people were so passionate about the causes they stand for, why aren't they running for office on the local level?
That's not sexy.
Building up their party, sharing thoughts with the people that are locally, because that's how I've been looking at how other countries operate that have more than one system. And like, you have to get in on the ground floor. How do you expect to come in with no experience? I know that there are some people that have come in with no experience, Donald Trump, but he ran under a major party. If you really believe what you're saying, run for school board, work your way up, share your ideas and thoughts with the people around you, build the party up. And specifically with Jill Stein, if you want to vote for a single issue, her stance on Palestine right now, she's accepted a lot of money from companies that they are the manufacturers of weapons. She also, the last time she ran, was like pro Assad in Syria, who was killing his own people. So if she's the anti-genocide person, then why is that switch from where she stood? And I'm not saying people can't change, but it just seems like she's just grabbing at things that are hot button issues at the moment. And then also people were talking about how she had so much support at the DNC because people were holding up signs that said Jill on them. But I would like to remind people of who our first lady is. Jill Biden. Those signs were for her. They were being held up while she was on stage when she was walking out. They had nothing to do with Jill Stein. Voting on a singular issue is not the approach. You should be looking at candidates from big picture, how they stand, not just on foreign politics, but on local politics too. There's a lot at stake this election. And so don't throw away your vote. And I will also say that I have fallen for some of Jill Stein's shenanigans before. Like when Hillary Clinton lost, Jill Stein said that she was going to fight the courts because she said that there was Russian interference, and she needed people to donate money, and I sent, I think, $20 because I had it. And I was like, she's going to do something and do something. It never happened. There was no actual recount efforts. What she do with that money? It doesn't matter because she doesn't have like a big party that's actually checking her. Let's be smart. Let's be educated. Let's vote for candidates that actually have a chance at winning and not ones that are opportunists. Thank you so much.
Yep. It's as someone who grew up in a very political household, like both of the, people my household, people held positions in town as well as like county stuff and different stuff. And I grew up really political, and grew up with people who they voted green in the primaries. And can say a lot of shit about those people, but they did not vote green in when they had to, when we got to like the actual real election. And you cannot be a good, quote unquote, good, morally clean or whatever kind of like way you want to describe it, politician who's actually participating in politics. Because politics is a corrupt system. So all of these perfect candidates can be perfect candidates because they've never had to do anything. They've never had to not be perfect. And that's the thing that drives me crazy about Jill Stein. Because even if you read so many of her stuff, she's like, I would have probably like just done this instead. And it's like, yeah, but sure. Ideally, in theory, sure. Wonderful. Okay. But also, that's like the human nature response. Like we can all look at like they're horrible politicians like Trump. And then you've got the new age Republicans. And then for a lot of the time, the rest of people kind of just like fall into this area of like just a person and like not all like morally depraved and corrupt people who like want to make the most horrific decisions for people. And sometimes that's just the decisions you're faced with. And so this whole thing of like, this is the perfect candidate. The only perfect candidate is a candidate who has no experience. And in turn, that candidate is no longer perfect. And I personally am someone who a hard pass for me is anytime anyone at any point in their political career has talked about Wi-Fi affecting us, getting into like the 4G waves and all of, when you get into anti-vaxxer rhetoric and that kind of stuff, to
metal
me,
on skin from vaccines.
To me, that is where I go, oh no. I don't care that you went to an Ivy League and you graduate with all of this because now you're confident and wrong. To me, that is the worst combination. Yep. That is the worst fucking combination. And yeah, it pisses me off. And also because, yeah, her stance on Israel-Palestine has also changed exponentially in the last small window of time, which is totally fine. But I think the fact that she has like a quote from like 2016, people asking her going, I actually don't know much about that. And I go, okay, cool. So you are actually a full grown adult who had already run for president at that point. Maybe even you already run twice, I think, at that point. For someone who's, young and not a professional, complete ignorance to that. But like, no, that's actually your job. Like, stop. We should not have the same response to that. And I'm like 16 and you're running for president. So yeah. You're not wrong at all. At all. Mine is not a hot take. Mostly it's an observation of something I've come across and a realization that I would like to campaign behind.
Okay.
And that is, let women be mediocre. As I was scrolling through TikTok last week, I sat through probably 4 videos of various white men doing comedy on a stage. I didn't crack a smile. I didn't laugh. And I looked at their profiles and they had thousands of followers. So many views. And while they weren't offensive, while they weren't like super not funny, they were just kind of like, I could do that. Anyone I know could kind of do that. I just think we need more mediocre women because it was sandwiched between that and then videos of Simone Biles flipping. And I go, let's get that happy medium. I love what Simone Biles is doing, but I don't need everyone to be Simone Biles.
Everybody can't be.
No, I don't need you to be the best of the best of the best. I need us to have those same standards for women. I want women to get on I have been curating my TikTok For You page that I just want to see you guys do whatever. Just coasting by. Let mediocrity happen for us the way that it gets to happen for men. Specifically for Black women, because good God, Simone Biles, I go, I want you to be able to... At this point, Simone Biles, you should be able to be like a substitute teacher in like North Dakota and just like live your happy life. But like, she's extraordinary. That's wonderful. But that's a fuck ton of pressure. And I just think, let women be mediocre because there's already so many fucking men doing it.
I agree.
It's crazy when you watch someone who's like a professional comedian getting paid for it and they have like $1 million house and I'm watching a video and my lip doesn't even twitch into a smile.
I think I've mentioned this before, but I follow some comedians that are very funny. And so therefore I get fed other comedians. And sometimes they'll have a quote unquote joke that is like 30 seconds long. And I'm like, where's the punchline?
No, I'm like, thanks for sharing.
This is all set up. You're just talking. And like, They sat there and edited this clip and put it up because they thought it was good. This was good enough that I needed to share with other people.
I wonder if we saw one of the same ones recently, because I had that same thought where I was like, as someone who could write, I go, okay, set up, and I'm waiting and I'm watching the bar go. And then it was over and I was like, okay, so that was just a story. Mm-hmm. You were just talking. Those were just words we put together with some punctuation, and you were just pacing and drinking your water. Have you ever thought of therapy? Because you're just talking.
You're just talking. You're just sharing your thoughts. This is not funny. There was nothing funny about it. It wasn't even an engaging story.
No, and like
so much so that I don't even remember what it's about. But I do remember that it was a man standing on stage with a microphone.
Yeah.
And I said, "Where's the rest?"
Yeah, I looked for a part 2. That was it. And, then they go on to be like, check out all these dates that I have, blah, 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 all of this stuff. And I'm like, whew. And this is at this point in my life, I'm never going to shit on a woman comic for her comedy unless it's problematic. I'll shit on Amy Schumer for her genocidal views, but not for her comedy, maybe the joke stealing. But again, not for if I'm like, oh, that joke she wrote isn't funny, because apparently it doesn't have to be.
Right.
I just think it's crazy that like comedy as a whole is something people are like, I'll just go and try that. Like bring back the fear of performing stand-up. Because like that shit is hard and terrifying. And the stereotype of like comics are severely traumatized people. I'm not encouraging trauma, but I am saying it's nice for people with severe trauma to have a space. And when you infiltrate that space with your happy home life and you get up there and try to make it funny, sometimes it doesn't work so well.
No. Everyone has a profession that they can be good at.
Bring back plumbers. Like, bring back, first of all, gaffers. We need light. Like, there are so many jobs. We don't need any more comedians, and we really don't need any more men. Point blank, but also parentheses male comedians.
I stand with you on this.
Thank you for standing with me.
All right, let's take a break.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that ShopPay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors, including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go network by listening today. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey, guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
And we're back. It's time for our next segment, which is But Are You Wrong? Where you write into our email address, butamiwrongpod@gmail.com, with a circumstance or situation you found yourself in that you want to know if you are in the wrong about. We ask that you keep it under 300 words. It is all anonymous, but please let us know your age ahead of, right the age. And because it is anonymous, you can use pseudonyms for everyone involved in the story and give us as much information as we need. Please give full names, not full names, but like, don't call people A or B or C. Something that two people who have been recording for hours can follow, you know?
Mm-hmm. K is fine if you spell it K-Y.
Totally. Lee, L-E-E. That's not a letter.
No,
that's
not.
L. Sorry, I meant L. E-L-L-E. I just switched the dyslexic in my brain. I go Lee, L-E-E. Nope, E-L-L-E. Okay. You're up first.
All right. Hey, Megan and Melissa. Am I wrong for storming out of this mom group I joined? So I am a relatively young mom in today's time. While my mom had 3 kids by the time she was 25, I had my first at 24, and I am one of the youngest moms. My son is in pre-K and involved in a lot of activities, so we've come across the same group of kids' moms several times. In the last month, they've invited us to their Saturday play dates. We usually start at the park, then go to one of their houses for lunch. So they give me a little snide remark here and there. When exchanging birth stories, I mentioned I had a C-section. These bitches had the nerve to say how lucky I was to take the easy way out and get to be off my feet for a few weeks, as if that's not one of the most dangerous surgeries for women to go through and one that wasn't done by choice. When I mentioned I didn't breastfeed for long due to low milk production, they told me I was so brave to trust powder. So the straw that broke the camel's back when I mentioned his dad is my boyfriend, not my husband. It's not something I hid, just assumptions on their part, I guess. I wear a promise ring on my ring finger, so I'm guessing they thought it was a wedding ring. They went to bombarding me with questions on how long we were together before the pregnancy, if I was planning to get married, what was his holdup. I made up an excuse and left. Was I wrong for grabbing my son and leaving? I just couldn't take it anymore. No, I would have left after the first comment.
I almost want to say that you're wrong because I'm like, actually the correct course of action would have been like, you guys are fucking losers. And then you should have taken their purses and dumped them out on their heads and then like covered them in molasses and like, and feathers. And then like, you know what I mean?
So
like
tar and feather them?
Is that a thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay. God, we're getting back to the cartoons where I'm like, that's what, when they fall and slip in the thing of molasses. Take that back. No. There's a Looney Tunes one where they fall into a thing and then, yep. No, like to me, that would have been, you guys are such fucking losers. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, this is like so, I'd be like, wow, it's so brave of you to say something like so stupid. Like, did you go to college? Did you have your GED? Like the way I would have then started coming with like the most out of pocket questions back. So I think that you handled this with like far more grace than I would have. So you're super not wrong for getting up and leaving. This is insane.
This is so judgmental and tacky.
Tacky is the right word. It's exactly what it is.
These are tacky people. C-sections, like this wasn't something that you elected to do. And even if you did, so what? Like,
also, they could have done it too if it was elective.
Right. They had a choice and said it was lucky. Okay, then, and it was the easy way out, then why don't you do it? If that's how you felt, why don't you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what goes into a C-section? They literally take out all your guts and then stuff it back in your body. And it's not the same way that it was when it went in.
No, and like, why would there, if it was like so easy and seamless and everybody like loved it, no one would give birth vaginally anymore. And also you wouldn't have people who had already done C-sections and gone for a VBAC.
Mm-hmm.
So odd. People just say shit.
And then the stuff about low milk production and brave to trust powder.
Oh, I'd be like, oh, the last powder, you're just, I'm not snorting it. Is that what your implication was? Yeah, I wasn't into Coke, but happy for you. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I hope that you never see any of these women again. I hope you find a cooler group to hang out with because they suck.
Yeah, this is like miserable, jobless behavior.
Yeah, like, I don't understand. Like, these are things that people, like, in their 80s say.
Yeah. On also sitcoms. And you all know it's the villain.
Like, these people, I'm guessing, are in their 30s and 40s. And they're acting like this. Grow the fuck up.
Yeah. And I will say, as someone who grew up with, where I grew up, vast majority of the parents were like a lot older than like the country average or whatever. Anytime there was a mom, which I can say anytime, as in there's one mom who was like younger. And even though me and one other person, ours was like the second youngest, I think, or no, mine was the second youngest and still like, you know, exponentially like a lot younger than some of these other ones, but closer in age to the younger one. The way that this younger mom was treated was so fucking insane that even as a kid, I could see it. And she just didn't hang out with the moms at that. She just was like, screw it. And like, if it was like a school event thing or whatever, she would hang out with the kids. And like, I loved her. I thought she was so cool. But like, I would hear moms talk shit about her all the time. And so at the end of the day, never made me think any less of her, made me think less of the people talking shit. But I also really respected the fact that like, she didn't put up with their shit. Like, she would just hang out with us and she'd be like, I'm not going to hang out with your parents fucking suck.
I also like, I don't think my parents were part of any like parent groups. And I turned out perfect. So your kid will too.
Yep. I think that's fine.
All right. You're up, Megan.
Hey, Eminem. I'm wondering if I would be wrong to ghost a friend. No. I mean completely no contact. For context, she's a self-proclaimed bitch, and I couldn't agree more. Ooh, is this play about us? She is also very self-centered. A lot of people around her have distanced themselves from her, and for good reason. Being her friend is exhausting. It is always, always, always about her. Her wants, her needs, her issues. We've been friends for 6 years, and I honestly don't think she would know my birthday if she didn't know from me discussing plans or Facebook telling her. I'm only considering ghosting her because I've tried to talk with her about us ending our friendship amicably, and she always reels me back in, making promises to be better and to become a better friend. I fall for it every time, and I am tired of this endless cycle. As I type it out right now, I'm realizing it sounds like a toxic relationship, and that's what it is. Would I be wrong for ghosting her? I tried to be an adult about it multiple times, and nothing has changed. I hope you take my submission. No, you would not be wrong at all.
She seems obsessed with you.
Yeah.
But like in a controlling, manipulative way.
Mm-hmm. In a way that like, I don't want to watch that movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little, we're wearing a skin suit. Like it's getting like a little, I want your life. And to me, I've said this before. I think a friendship can be mended if people are realistic about like who they are, what they bring to the table, what their issues are or whatever. But you have to like, I want someone who like is steadfast in like who they are and like stands in that. And so for me, when I'm like, okay, you're being like a very bad friend. And if that's just who they are and you fundamentally know that, and they're like, no, I'll change. And it's like, we both know you're not going to. Like, what is this rigmarole? Like, what the fuck is the point of this bullshit? Like, we both know it's not true. And so like, stop saying that you're going to do it when you don't even want to do it. To me, that's just like, it's like flaccid shit. I don't want that. You know what I mean though? Like, it's just like, ugh.
Get away.
Yeah, flip-floppy. So that's not... That in a whole, if I like said that and it was like, I'll whatever, when knowing it's the personality, and you're just trying to end the friendship, and it's like, no, it's fine. That's even more of an ick to me.
Yeah, I had a friend like that I ghosted.
Sometimes it's the only option.
That's the only option, because the thing is, they're going to keep trying to come back and keep tricking you into a friendship that you don't want to be a part of, when it's not even a real friendship. It's just a one-sided person that's trying to control the whole situation. If you need to get out, and don't say anything. Block her.
Move.
If you're going to show up at your house,
yeah,
get a ring.
Yep. We all need better friends, you know? Like, it's just, you're not wrong. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and we'll get into our final segment.
Do you love Disney? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the magical millennial.
And I'm the dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. There is nothing we don't cover.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed, but you definitely need in your life. So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everyone, join me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
Each week, we deliver 4 fun-filled shows.
In Don't Blame Me, we tackle our listeners' dilemmas with hilariously honest advice.
Then we have But Am I Wrong, which is for the listeners that didn't take our advice. Plus, we share our hot takes on current events.
Then tune in to See You Next Tuesday for our listener poll results from But Am I Wrong?
And finally, wrap up your week with Fisting Friday, where we catch up and talk all things pop culture.
Listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Merry Christmas, everybody! My name is Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the hosts of Christmas Countdown Show.
We're so thrilled to be bringing the merriment to you all this holiday season. On Christmas Countdown, we love to count down our top 10 favorite things related to the holiday season. That could be food, movies, music, everything that we all love about this massively merry good time. So wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you click that subscribe button. Eric, are you ready?
I am ready, and we hope that you are too. Merry Christmas, everybody! Let's go!
We're back from our break. It is time for our final segment, which is Are They Wrong? AKA Wrong of the Week, Rachel of the Week, where we nominate the worst person, place, or thing, idea, whatever, of current events, pop culture, niche events. This has brought us people like George Santos. And what do you have in store for us today?
So this was a lawsuit that was filed on August 8th of this year.
Melissa loves litigation.
I do love litigation. Tulsa, Oklahoma, anywhere around y'all have a break this week. Emory University Hospital in Midtown, Atlanta, was accused of losing part of a patient's skull following brain surgery. Fernando Cluster went and had a delicate procedure requiring the temporal removal of part of his skull. But when it was time to put the piece back, they lost it and then charged him thousands of dollars for it. So Fernando and his wife claim that Emory University Hospital Midtown demonstrated simple negligence and caused physical and emotional pain and suffering and unnecessary medical bills. He was admitted into the hospital on September 30th, 2022, diagnosed with an intracerebral hemorrhage and underwent decompressive hemocranotomy. And the procedure involved removing part of his skull, and it's called a bone flap.
I don't like the word flap. That's not to be like about anything medical. It's just, I don't like the word flap in general.
And so after he healed from the hemicranotomy, he was scheduled to have his bone flap reimplanted on November 11th. And then according to his chart, there was a note left by the neurosurgeon Matthew Agam that said, although we were informed yesterday by the OR staff that Mr. Cluster's bone flap was located and ready for replacement, it could not be found today when preparing for surgery. We inspected the freezer where bone flaps are stored and could not find a bone flap with Mr. Cluster's patient identification. There were several bone flaps with incomplete or missing patient identification, but we could not be certain which, if any of these, belonged to Mr. Cluster. After a delay, the staff told him that the bone flap could not be found and his cranioplastic surgery had to be canceled until they made a synthetic implant flap and could be replaced in his head. And then according to the lawsuit, they waited almost 2 weeks for the synthetic flaps. This man is sitting with part of his cranium not there. And there's pictures. Like his head was just flat. And then it came back from the manufacturer. And then on November 23rd, which again, this is a few days before Thanksgiving, family holiday, he finally was able to get the surgery. And then the hospital gave him a bill that included not only the replacement bone flap, but also the extra time that he had to be in the hospital. And then after leaving the hospital, he suffered an infection because of the synthetic flap, and that required another additional surgery. He was not able to work because of this and has over $845,000 medical bill. He's requesting compensation for damages, which I don't think that's even enough money. Like this man needs millions of dollars. And to be paid by Emory. His attorney, Chloe Dallaire of Hornsby Law Group, claimed her client suffered financial, emotional, and physical abuse and neglect. And the infection just made things even worse. It is shocking that a medical provider like Emory would lose part of its patients' skulls and then refuse to accept responsibility. We now have to live with the consequences of Emory's negligence, including daily fear about another infection in my head and medical costs. We want to know if this has happened to other patients to see if they have been given an explanation by Emory. Our goal is to make sure this never happens to another patient again. That was a statement from his wife.
That's insane.
Yes.
Emory Hospital they've not been in the news for some good things recently.
No. This is where the nurse stuff happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're like one of the top medical systems in the country. This is not looking good. How do you like lose a part of somebody's brains and then a part of somebody's cranium and then like just have incomplete information about them in a refrigerator? That's wild.
Yeah. Like there has been for like a long time, and usually teaching college-based hospitals tend to be like slightly better about it. But like there's such a huge understaffing and overworking problem that like the hospital that used to be the one in my town, like that was the hospital. And it wasn't, first of all, it was not my town. It was my county. We did not have a hospital in my town, but we had the hospital and it got bought by a private healthcare company and it like went to shit. And it was like so bad. There's like this pretty famous case from when I was a kid about a nurse who was on like, she was on her 30th hour of a shift or something like that. And there was a life support machine and the sound, she just like absentmindedly just turned it off because like the sound was driving her crazy and the person died. And like at first instance, you're like, oh my God, what a monster. But it's like, that sound is used in torture.
If
like,
you haven't slept, you can't think straight.
No. And also when you have like a sound of a constant thing like that, like that's used as a torture technique. Same thing of like babies crying. Like there is just like this aspect of like physiologically our bodies cannot perform well without sleep, let alone care for other people's lives and like hold other people's lives at hand. Like people don't make sound decisions for their own safety when they're overtired, let alone other people. And it's like so bad. But again, usually like teaching hospitals tend to have a bit better of that because they tend to be slightly better staffed just because it is like a hot spot for that. But again, like there's shortages everywhere. But to me, that is like a failure of a system. And like, it's a great point that the wife made where it's like, how many other times has this happened? Like this seems like it has. Like, I can't imagine it hasn't.
Because the doctor on staff was like, there are others in the refrigerator that don't have information on it.
Yeah. That's horrible. Horrible. My actual nomination, even though my sideline one is Sophia LaCourte, is Oklahoma State football. They have introduced something which is so fucking crazy. And
before you get into that.
First of all, I'm actually so sorry because Melissa did make it sound like Oklahoma was going away from this without a scratch. So we should give the disclaimer. No one is asking us to do it. No one's forcing us. That Oklahoma's not all bad. And by not all bad, I mean, I really enjoyed the movie Twisters. But first and foremost, we know a lovely, lovely person from Oklahoma who is suffering at the hands of this Oklahoma slander. And we're so sorry, babe. Like, we know this is not about you.
Second week in a row.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I also didn't even clock that when you had said, you're like, Oklahoma, you get a break. Psych! No, you don't. This is football.
She's gonna be so mad.
I know she is. I'm so sorry. She's like, bitch, you should have just done the Sophia LaCourte drama. Okay, so it's Oklahoma State football. And this goes into, I will say, I think NFL teams, their social media employees need to be paid so much more because I historically have hated football. I've hated football. I've hated like what it does to the brain, but also the prior to all of the new laws and things being passed of being able to take endorsements and stuff. Like, it was just like, you're using all of these athletes, and specifically depending on the sport, for a lot of college athletes, you're scouting from very poor places of schools they could not have afforded to get into, or could not have gotten the whatever standards of grades to get into or scores. And you literally beat them up on a field. And then the vast majority of them don't even go pro. And so they have not, quote unquote, gained the college experience in a way that would elevate them to a career or whatever, because they've had to dedicate all their fucking time to sports. I had friends who are D1 athletes. Like, that shit is like, it's what you do. Like, that is your college, is the fucking sport. And so social media teams, though, they've been showing me sometimes it's just boys living their dream. And the way I cry and I just see them so happy to be, because it's the same thing about astronauts, not like the problematic aspect. Not astronauts are problematic. I'm talking about football CTE. But there's so few jobs that you see people who they probably wrote it on as their dream job in kindergarten. Like, there's so few people who get to do that like childhood dream job. And so football's also like that. So I've warmed up to certain players and certain teams' social media. But this reminded me exactly why I don't fuck with it. So they've introduced QR codes on the helmets so viewers can scan them and give them money. Because they're not paying their college athletes. And guess what? Does it go to each individual player? No. It goes to a big pool of money that they pinky promise and swear will be distributed to the players.
A QR code?
I'm sorry, are they that bad at playing football that I'm able to get a clear shot of a QR code?
But also, that's just icky feeling, especially when the majority of football players are Black. So I either see it as like donations, which to make people feel like bad for them, or
Yep. The way that I'm like, have we thought about just paying them?
Whose thought was this?
That's a great question. I'm going to say an old white man. This is like, it's because to me, it's a much more fucked up version of the added on additional fees when you go to restaurants we have them here. I'm sure there's other places, but like, oh, here's an additional 25% or 30% fee so our employees can have healthcare. I go, yeah, pay for them to have healthcare. To tack it on, so we're paying for that. No, like what the fuck? Like, it's just one of those things that it's like, oh, how can we offset this cost onto somebody else? and you're not fucking thinking it through whatsoever. And then also, I do wonder, the QR codes are not the most, they're reliable most of the time, but like there are times where people think it's one QR code and it's a fucking different one. And I think about sponsorships that individual players might have, and then having that, even if it doesn't get messed up, it goes directly to the website for the fund or whatever that is. If that is not viewed as looking too much like advertising for other advertisers to feel like, no, this is wrong.
You can also hack QR codes pretty easily.
The way I'm like, so quickly, you're going to have one of your tech students change it and it's going to scan a QR code and it's going to be like a Rickroll or just like titties.
Boobs.
Yeah. And it's like, do the players get to opt out of this? Or
why can't people just donate to the booster club and then they distribute it to the athletes? Because that's who is collecting all the money, is the booster club.
I have a feeling that this is going to be very Powder Puff football vibes, and it's going to be, we're collecting the money and we're getting new uniforms. Like, I have a feeling that this is going to be money spent, quote unquote, towards the team. And I do not feel like this is going to be towards the players. And the shit that pisses me off about this is like, this is college football, and college sports have found ways to, D1 college athletics have found ways to supplement what they can offer students. Before it was like legal that they could be getting like sponsorships and all that. They have found ways to supplement or entice people into joining with stipends. So stipends for travel, stipends for apartments, like living. Like, I had a friend who played a D1 sport at my college, and what she got for her like rent stipend every single year was exponentially more than any of like the median apartment or whatever. Like, it was specifically done to entice her. It was part of the offer that she got when they asked her to come to the school. That was part of the offer. It's essentially being like, hey, you know, we're going to give you this. We'll give you X amount of money for transportation, which was basically money to buy a car. And then they're out all like the rent stipend, which was money that she was able to like save and put away. And it was like a full ride. So like, she was still able to profit off of it. And it was kind of like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We all know that this is not what your rent costs. But this, I'm like,
but like you can legally pay athletes.
That's what I mean.
Just
so it's like,
them.
You've already done it sneakily before, but now that, well, to me, it's not even like you don't want to pay them. It's like it's degrading. Like that, it feels, that's like a key aspect of this. Cause I'm like, you found ways to get around paying them before by offering them all this stuff. So they pick and go to your school. And you've done that before you were legally allowed to pay them. You've found ways to not pay them what they're worth, but like supplement and entice them to make this so they weren't spending any money whatsoever and they can make a little bit of money. But now when you legally have to pay them, you go, not if we don't embarrass them first. Huh? The fuck? So I'm hoping this is not going to work. Also, can you think of how big those fucking QR codes would have to be? Like, how fucking big they would have to be to scan them? Also on TV? What? So, yeah, I hate it. I really hope
it's on their helmet, so it's not even, it can't be that. Like, they're tiny. I'm looking at the pictures. Like, literally, how do they think? It's just like a little stamp on the back of their helmet. How would people even be able to do this?
Yeah, listen to this. This is a revolutionary step forward to help keep Oklahoma State football ahead of the game, Mike Grundy says. It gives a chance for everyday fans across the world to have a real impact when it comes to supporting NFL efforts for Cowboys football. I'm thrilled about this opportunity for our players. You know what that also sounds like to me? QR code company came to you, and there's a partnership. You guys are getting a percentage in the back end. It's a 1.5 square inch decal at the back of each helmet.
Yeah, no.
Its ability to scan the code during broadcasts and post game photos that are posted onto social media. Expected to help raise the team's value during football season. Oh my God. The QR codes are not limited to just the players' helmets. Other places they can be found include each player's bag tag will display the QR code during the walk for game days on travel. QR code will be placed on the coasters in premium areas of the stadium, on the University State football equipment truck, on signage throughout the stadium, and then a link to the fund will be available on the social media channels. The QR code initiative is part of Saddle Up campaign that is organized by Pokes with a Purpose. What the fuck is a poke? Support Cowboy football today. Funds donated through the Saddle Up campaign are not earmarked for specific student athletes and will go directly to the general team fund. See, that's the part that I'm like, for every student athlete on the roster. Donated money will be used to fund, I'm right, will use to fund current NIL agreements with PWP that includes payments in exchange for services provided by these OSU student
They don't
athletes.
need the money like that. Like the school itself doesn't need the money. Pay the students directly.
And yeah, this also to me, it feels like a sabotage way of, especially with the walkout bags and stuff. I don't know that they're, because like a lot of the time that's one of the ways that they can get brand deals, like based on when their outfits of walking, whatever that is, that I'm like, I think you're making them less desirable to advertisers as well, because they feel like they're competing.
Well, yep, they're wrong for this. All right. Well, that is the end of our episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Watch your mouth drop.
Sorry, they're a 501(c)(3). I don't know how that's legal.
All right.
Okay.
That just made it worse. Please tune in tomorrow for, don't donate. Tune in tomorrow for See You Next Tuesday. We've got a new episode of Don't Blame Me on Thursday, and then Fisting Friday, where we're just chatting and catching up. You can listen with us and be part of the conversation. Participate for any of the shows by sending us a DM on Megan and Melissa on Instagram. You can also write us a little message on Spotify and leave us a review on Apple Music. So we will circle back.
But Am I Wrong is a production by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production by Coco Lorenz.
And production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Laureau, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth.
Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural then and now.